Stop selling patience to a fan base that has already watched Herbert absorb hits while people outside the building acted like the issue was only the quarterback. Now McDaniel is changing the clock, the footwork, the eyes, and the ball coming out before the shot arrives. And that sets up a loaded day. The tight end market, hidden return game speed, and a defensive rookie walking in furious after going undrafted. Hit that like button and come with me, because today Los Angeles is not asking anybody for permission. McDaniel's message, to me, feels like a clean, classy jab at the old way of making Justin Herbert put out fires with his arm. He did not need to call anyone out. He did not need to start some public fight. He did not need to make it messy. He simply said players are, in some ways, at the mercy of what their coaches can offer to challenge them. That line already lands heavy, because when you have a quarterback like this, and you do not give him quick answers, real structure, and clean outlets, you are basically asking his talent to become a human shield. And that is where this gets serious. McDaniel wants Herbert getting the ball out in 2.4 seconds or less. That is not some tiny box score detail. That is an attempt to change the quarterback's whole life inside the pocket. Less time holding the football, less pass rush getting home, fewer plays turning into panic improvisation, more rhythm, more footwork connected to progressions, more answers before the defense turns the down into a street fight. According to Eric Smith from the Chargers site, McDaniel talked about changing Herbert's footwork, using his feet to tell him when to move through reads, and getting the ball out before the pass rush reaches the danger point. That is aggressive in the best way. It is not taking the weapon out of Herbert's hands. It is loading that weapon faster. It is making the offense function without asking him to wait for the route to die, the pressure to explode, and the miracle to appear in the final half second. And last year's number is almost insulting if you actually follow this team. Herbert's average time to throw was 2.9 seconds, dead last in the NFL at number 32. Blame the tackle injuries. Blame the offensive design. Blame the entire situation. Fine, but the result stayed the same. Pressure, punishment, hits, and a special quarterback being forced to play football in survival mode. Now Los Angeles rebuilt the interior of the offensive line with 3 new starters, expects both elite tackles back, and has McDaniel modernizing the quick passing game. That does not promise magic in May, but it shows intent, and when intent meets rare talent, that becomes dangerous for the league. Herbert has embraced the challenge. McDaniel is tightening the machine. If this ball starts coming out clean, fast, and sharp, a lot of people who treated the Chargers like a tired promise are going to have to swallow a very different reality. And once you start building a faster offense for Herbert, the next question hits hard. Who is going to win over the middle when the ball has to come out on time? That is why David Njoku's visit to Los Angeles cannot be treated like some random late off-season note. The Chargers brought him in Monday, gave him a physical, got a close look, and measured the situation. And if that fit happens at the right price, I like it. I like it a lot, because Njoku would not need to walk in as the savior. That is the part some fans have to separate. Oronde Gadsden II already gives this offense a pass-catching tight end profile. Charlie Kolar came in to bring physicality, blocking, and weight to McDaniel's run game. Njoku would sit right between those two worlds, a player with a real receiving resume, still capable of helping as a blocker, and experienced enough to not look lost when the offense uses heavy packages, play action, motion, and formation changes. But this is where Los Angeles has to keep a hard edge. The visit happened, and then silence just hung in the air. When silence follows a physical and a meeting, the natural read goes straight to money, years, guarantees, security. Njoku may want more years. That makes sense from his side. He is close to 30, coming off a down season in Cleveland, dealt with injuries, watched Harold Fannin Jr. rise in that offense, and finished 2025 with 33 catches, 293 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He still has the name. He still has the resume. He still has that 2023 Pro Bowl season in the rearview. But the Chargers cannot pay for the old peak like it is still completely there. That is exactly where a serious franchise separates ambition from desperation. On a short deal, something around 1 year, with an annual value near 9 or 10 million, Njoku could be a strong move. Los Angeles has financial flexibility, even with major extensions looming for Tuli Tuipulotu and Derwin James. The problem is not bringing in Njoku. The problem would be tying yourself to a long commitment for a player who may be entering a different stage of his career. If he accepts being a fit piece, a luxury complement, a tight end who gives Herbert muscle and options without freezing the future, go get it done. But if the conversation turns into heavy demands, the Chargers have to look back at the market with clear eyes. Darren Waller, Jonnu Smith, other paths that may be less exciting, sure, but also less dangerous. Defending Los Angeles does not mean screaming yes to everything. It means demanding that this team attacks opportunity without losing control. Njoku can raise the ceiling of this offense. He just cannot control the negotiation. And then there is Brennan Thompson, maybe the most electric story of the day because it does not look obvious at first glance. The Chargers waited to address wide receiver. They let McDaniel guide the plan, rebuilt the interior offensive line, added Kohler, added Keaton Mitchell, put Alec Ingold on the board, and only went to the draft for a receiver with this kind of ridiculous speed. Now Thompson walks in with Deshaun Jackson comparisons floating around, a 4.26 40, and one question that should make any comfortable roster nervous. How long does it take for speed like that to force a role? In the base offense, let's be real, the road is not empty. Ladd McConkey has a role. Quentin Johnston still carries first-round investment. Trey Harris was a second-round pick. Oronde Gadsden II has already become a real piece in the passing game. And there are still Kolar, Mitchell, heavy formations, different packages. So nobody needs to pretend Thompson is showing up in May and stealing 100 targets out of thin air. That is not the point. The point is special teams. Ryan Ficken opened the door when he said that even without a lot of return reps, you can watch a player's offensive tape and evaluate hands, ball tracking, natural skill, and projection. That changes the whole conversation. Thompson returned only one punt in college, so there is a serious learning curve ahead. But there is also a brutal NFL truth. If you have open field ability, courage, acceleration, and instinct, a coordinator is going to test just how far that can go. And that is where the battle gets hot. Because Darius Davis is not just some random name sitting there. He was a fourth-round pick in 2023 and has already shown value as a returner. Thompson is not getting the job just because he is fast. He has to rip that space away. He has to show security. He has to hold on to the football when everybody in the stadium knows one return mistake can flip the entire game. Speed gets attention. Trust decides jobs. Still, I want to see this fight. I want to see Thompson fielding balls in practice, in preseason, in pressure spots, because his physical ceiling deserves a real test. And on offense, you can picture screens, quick routes, orbit motion, design touches built to turn one simple catch into a 50-yard run. McDaniel loves creating angles. Thompson brings instant threat. So let me throw this one to our community. Would you keep Darius Davis locked in as the return guy? Or would you throw Brennan Thompson into that battle from day one? Because when a team wants to level up, even the return job needs real edge. And if Thompson is speed trying to crash the field through the return game, Nadame Tucker is something else. Organized anger coming off the edge. Rookie minicamp is usually treated like a nice photo moment. New helmet, new number, first interview. But that is also where the cruel side of the NFL begins. Some players arrive as tryout bodies and leave with the dream already over. Some UDFAs are buried on the depth chart before they even learn every name in the building. And then there is the case that makes everybody look twice. Tucker is that case. The Chargers did not bring in Nadame Tucker by accident. The Chris O'Leary connection is too strong to ignore. O'Leary worked under the Jesse Minter tree, coached safeties in Los Angeles, then became the defensive coordinator at Western Michigan, turned that defense around, and came back to the Chargers as defensive coordinator in 2026. And who exploded under him at Western Michigan? Tucker. He had 14.5 sacks in 2025. That is pass rusher production. That is the type of production that usually makes a team spend a day 3 pick and sleep well at night. But the draft came and went. Tucker did not get picked. And that is where this kind of story gets fun. The insult becomes fuel. O'Leary said Tucker's chip got even bigger because he went undrafted. And he also said they believed in him from the start and think he has a really bright future. That does not guarantee a roster spot. But it is a sign that the coach is not talking about some random camp body. He knows the player. He knows the burst. He knows the mentality. He knows what worked when they were together. And the contract backs that up. Los Angeles gave Tucker $287,500 guaranteed, a strong number for an undrafted free agent. When a team puts that kind of money into a player who was not drafted, it is saying, we want you in the building, we want real competition, and we want to see if that production can jump from the MAC to an NFL environment. Now comes the question that makes veterans uncomfortable. Can Tucker threaten Bud Dupree for a spot? Behind Tuli Tuipulotu 2, Khalil Mack, and Akeem Mesidor, there is an edge 4 battle. Dupree has the name, the experience, the resume. Tucker has hunger, a direct connection with the coordinator, and the kind of explosiveness that can flash fast in camp. I am not saying he has already passed anybody. I am saying he showed up with enough ammunition to stop any seat from feeling guaranteed. And that is how a good roster gets violent from the inside. Not with cute speeches, with a cheap rookie trying to steal snaps from an expensive veteran, with a coach putting the best player on the field, with a UDFA treating every rep like an answer to 32 teams that let the phone sit silent during the draft. The picture today is clear. Los Angeles is trying to stop living off improvisation. McDaniel wants to speed up Herbert. Njoku could be a smart piece as long as the contract does not get too heavy. Thompson brings speed that can shake up special teams and steal a package on offense. Tucker walks in as a hungry UDFA trying to push a veteran. That is the Chargers team I want to see. aggressive, sharp, uncomfortable to play, and even more uncomfortable to cut down. If you want to follow this build without lazy narratives against Los Angeles, subscribe, hit the like button, and comment which of these 4 stories changes the Bolts ceiling the most.